welcome to another RSR. Tonight we're reviewing Mexico 0, Ecuador 0, and CONMEBOL Copa América 2024 Group B. Mexico 0, Ecuador 0 en la Copa América CONMEBOL Grupo B. Ecuador avanzar y Venezuela avanzar en la Grupo B de la Copa América. Mexico y Jamaica eliminado. Mexico and Jamaica are eliminated. We knew Jamaica was out. Mexico's the team. We were like, hey, we'll see what happens. Ecuador ends up finishing second. Venezuela finishes first. Venezuela versus Canada on Friday. Venezuela contra Canada. Ecuador versus Argentina on Thursday, July 4th. Ecuador contra Argentina en la cuartos de final. Mexico sits on the couch. It is what it is. Mexico, I thought they played pretty well in this match. I thought they did. They met the moment. They just couldn't score, which that's the thing that mattered, is they needed to win. They needed to score. They couldn't score. Ecuador, in the end, I kind of felt were just playing for the draw, playing for the advancement. They weren't too good. Enter Valencia had some rust after the red card. The team looked good defensively. I don't think offensively was their best shout. I think Julio Gonzalez made some good saves for Mexico. But Ecuador, on the other hand, I just didn't see it from Ecuador. I really didn't. I think they were fine with a draw, and what would be would be. And in the end, that was good enough for them. I think Mexico got robbed off of a couple of penalties. Not at the end. But there were 3 penalties they missed throughout the game. Calls that were missed by the ref throughout the game that I was like, that's a little bit suspicious. It should have been 1-0 Mexico at the very least. But it wasn't. And they just couldn't finish. Santi Jimenez was stuck in his head. We'll get there. Memote wasn't good enough. The front line wasn't good enough. Jimenez or Quiñones wasn't good enough. Antuna can't cross a ball to save his life. They brought on Borracho Vega. I don't like it, per se. They brought on Vega. He's not good. He's not good. And it's a bad game for Mexico. It really is, because Jimmy Lozano's a puppet, but he's gone. It's either Jardinet or Almada to take over now, because, I mean, the Mexican Federation said point blank period, Jimmy's gone. Point blank period, they said it. And I believe it. Mexico, they met the moment. They played well. They couldn't score. Whether that was because they just didn't finish, they didn't have the finishing product. They played with urgency. The finishing product wasn't there. Halftime 0-0, 0-0 medio tiempo. Wasn't the worst first half. I thought Mexico, again, looked like the better team slightly. They had the fight. They had the heart. They had the work ethic. They did not have the finishing. And that's what matters the most, is they did not finish to save their life. They couldn't finish. And the goals just didn't come. Full time, same as well. 0-0. 0-0 esta noche. Same situation here. I think Mexico was the better team, to be totally honest. Ecuador wanted the draw. They were fine with a draw. They were through with a draw, and they knew it. They didn't want to open themselves up more than they had to. It was sort of similar to Canada last night in the way of Ecuador knew they didn't have to do as much. They weren't the ones on the brink completely. They could get away with a draw, and that's what they did. And Canada did a similar thing. They knew they didn't have to do as much, and they didn't. They made Mexico work for it, and Mexico couldn't finish the job. They did 80% of the job, couldn't finish the last 20%. So that's basically your story there. Stats are as follows. Full-time stats, 19 shots, 9, 3 shots on goal to 3, 60% possession to 40% possession, 402 passes to 274, 80% pass accuracy to 72, 16 fouls to 12, 2 offside to 2, 5 yellow cards 1, 0 red cards to 0, 5 corners to 2. Here's what I'm going to do. First off, I got to say this. Santi Jimenez is in his head. They finally gave him the run as the starting striker. Under Jimmy Lozano, the FMF basically said, you're starting him. There's no Henry. You're taking Memote. You're not taking anybody who could start over Santi because we know how you are, Jimmy. And Jimmy doesn't like Santi, but he finally had to trust Santi. And sadly enough, Santi did not play to the level of what we all expected, because here's the thing about him with El Tri. Yes, he did not play well in this tournament. He did not score. He did not really hold up well. But here's the thing with his chances. He got the service. But the thing with his chances is the fact that he's stuck in his own head. He wants to be backed, supported, and loved, and given every chance to succeed, just like he is over at Feyenoord. And he does well over there. He's had some dry moments, but he does well over there because they trust him. They believe in him. Here, not so much. And he's in his head because he knows he has to succeed with Mexico, because if he wants a chance, he has to succeed and to keep that chance. And it's a lot more tough for him, I think, because he wants to do well for his country as well. But everything's in his head. Every time the ball hits his foot, he overthinks his shots. He's not robotic like he is in Europe. He's not robotic like he is during the club game. He thinks everything over too much, and you can't do that. Even if you take an extra 100th of a second to think, you can't do that because the keeper could set himself up better and get into a better angle. You could overthink it and woof the shot. It's simple. Like, for me, Santi Jimenez needs to be given the go-ahead, even without bringing a guy that could challenge him totally. Even with bringing a guy that could challenge him totally. Memote was never supposed to be the starter. And he wasn't great. You know, he wasn't great. And he did get taken down for that last penalty check. But he didn't play well. Antuna, he can't cross a ball. Chino Huerta very much underwhelmed me. I mean, Chino Huerta should have been better. Marcelo Flores barely played in this tournament. I don't understand it. He should have played 30 minutes a game. Eric Sanchez played well. Luis Romo played well in the stead of Edson Alvarez. That was honestly an honorable performance. Luis Chavez legitimately saved this Mexico team's ass more often than not. Julio Gonzalez wasn't bad. The back four, Montes was way better than Reyes. Montes should play as much as he can for the national team. Arteaga wasn't so bad. He got their only goal. So good for Arteaga. For me, Mexico's team, I mean, it wasn't horrible. But when you're just okay and only get one goal in 3 games, and you sort of put yourself in a position like this, sometimes it doesn't benefit you. Sometimes it does. Ask Canada. Sometimes it doesn't. And they didn't play well enough. For their expectations, they didn't play well enough. And that's what's bad for them, is they did not play well enough to match up the expectations they have of their team. For me, Jimmy Lozano, I think he wasn't ready for the job. I think the warm and fuzzies of Subanse Alember Jimmy and the Gold Cup was a fool's gold. I don't think he's ready for the job, and I think the FMF know that too, and I think he's gone. And it's going to be Jardinet or Almada to take over. Now, I think it should be Almada over Jardinet, in my personal opinion, to go to El Tri and coach El Tri. For me, it should be one of those two. But when it comes down to it, I am very, very, very underwhelmed by Jimmy as it is. The players don't even respect him. I mean, did you not see the penalty chaos? God didn't take it. God that he wanted to take it didn't take it. They didn't listen to him. And look what happened. That would have been a goal that would have got him through, because that's a draw, 1-1. That's 5 points. You're through. They legitimately, you could say the Mexican team legitimately shot themselves in the foot there. That is a moment where they shot themselves in the foot, not taking the penalty with the guy that Jimmy wanted taken. And so they kind of did it to themselves by disrespecting him and disobeying him. But If that's happening, he has to go anyway. The FMF is an absolute joke. This is the worst generation of Mexican players ever. As I said, to Italy, you are the Italy of CONCACAF, Mexico. That is what you are. This is the worst generation of Mexican players I've ever seen. At this point, it's sad because I love watching a good Mexico team. This is sad. This is legitimately sad. I want to watch a good Mexico team. I love watching a good Mexico team, especially when they're not playing other CONCACAF teams, or I should say, especially when they're not playing Canada or the USA. But I do want to see a good Mexico team, and it's not there. This is not what I expect. This is not what I grew up watching. This is crap, frankly. It's crap. And the federation is hamstringing the team. The players are in their heads. The coach isn't good enough and getting disrespected. It's an absolute farce. The Mexican Federation and team is a farce right now. It's a farce. And I already did the reason you suck speech for y'all after the Venezuela game. So I'm not going as hard, just like I'll go harder on the USA when they screw up against Uruguay. But for me, it's sad. And here's the thing about the FMF. Somebody in my comments said people need to boycott the games. Nobody's boycotting those Moleros in the USA. I hate to tell you. Except the vocal minority on Liga MX Reddit. Tried to throw a little bit of an accent on Reddit there. That vocal minority may not buy tickets to the Moleros. But the question is do the Mexican fans in Mexico stop going to games at Azteca when they have to play there? Or TSM Corona? Or anywhere in Mexico when those games are played in Mexico? Will they? I don't think so. Or I should say, I think they would. I don't think they're American, Mexican fans in the diaspora or fans who are fans of other countries who go to these games, because that's also very much a thing, spend money on these games. So Mexico, either you hope they see a drop in the bucket down and they're worried about that, pocket watching, or you better hope that everybody's on code on these games, which I don't think will happen. You have two different fan bases, and I think most of that Molero fan base is going to cover Mexico's ass. And they're going to be like, we're still getting money from them. So what if we lose money on 5 games a year, 3 to 5 games a year? So what? So what? I don't think it's going to change anything, really. Everybody has to be on code. If you want the Mexican Federation to change and you want to boycott them, everybody has to be on code. The Mexican fans in Mexico and the Molero diaspora fans. You have to be on code to boycott these games. And then you still have the fact of, do you go to Liga MX games? Because obviously some of that money goes to the Federation. Some of it does. You need to hit them where it hurts in the pockets, but that will never happen with the two differences in the fan bases. A vocal minority is not enough to change the Molero situation and change the situation with the Federation because of that. It's not going to happen. I can guarantee you that. So, it sucks. I wish there would be a Mexican fan revolt and actually not go to these games, whether they're in Mexico or not. But I don't see that happening when it comes to the Molero tournament, the Mex Tour games. I don't see it. I don't see it. And then you still got the Leagues Cup, which who's to say that is? I mean, that'd probably be a good thing to boycott. Because, again, half that money goes to the FMF. But the Federation is going to make their money due to people who just don't care enough. And that's the problem. Or people who are going to those games for their country, or going to games for their MLS team, or so on and so forth. And that's a problem. Is it less? Yes. But do I think they care? Ironically enough, no. As long as they're making money, I don't think they care. Be like, why is it less? But they'll be like, hey, we're still making money type of stuff. So I think Mexico fans have to have a true heart-to-heart, more than that. I think they have to put pressure on the Federation, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. I think there's a vocal minority, especially of people in the diaspora and even in Mexico. I still think there are more people that are pissed off at the Federation down there, but still, it's a vocal minority. It's 55-45. Here it's 20-80, right? It's that. And I hate that, but there needs to be change. But how do you get that change unless you're all on code asking for change? I don't know. But there needs to be change in the Mexican Federation. With that being said, commiserations to Mexico, commiserations to Jamaica, felicidades Venezuela y Ecuador. Congratulations, Venezuela, Ecuador. We move on. That's the end of Group B. 11 teams are left in this tournament alive, whether they've moved on or not. As of the last 2 days, still 11 teams to be alive. We'll whittle that down to 8, but there are 5 teams eliminated. Mexico's one of them. And, well, Jamaica are 2 of them. With that being said, then 1 team in Group D, then 2 of the ones in Group A. But 5 teams are eliminated, 11 are alive. We'll whittle down to 8. But tomorrow, we keep whittling. With that being said, if you like this stream, like it, share, subscribe, or video. Like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell your friends. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification to subscribe. Send super chats on live streams. Comment on this video. Put us to playlist. Share with friends and family. All that great stuff. I'll see you tomorrow with a live stream, watch along, and review of USA versus Uruguay. Of course, we'll be focusing or paying attention to Bolivia, Panama as well, just like we did today with Jamaica, Venezuela. But mostly, we are focused on USA, Uruguay, but there will be a couple of looks over. But with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. I'm Ron, and I'm out. Peace. See you later.